Is this a must win or you better win for the Knicks at the Garden tonight to close out this Celtics series? We've got our New York Post Knicks beat writer Steph Bondy on with us before tip off. Steph, thanks for hopping on with us. I appreciate you in this short amount of time. I'm gonna put you on the spot right here. Word is Bondy. Is tonight, Game 6 at the Garden, a must win or you better win for the Knicks?
I mean, better win. I mean, must win is when if you lose, you're eliminated. So listen, I do think that if they lose this game, they're probably going to lose game seven at Boston. So, it's important that they win tonight. It's almost season on the line. They have a shot in game seven at TD Garden for sure. I mean, this team has shown resiliency, but I do think they'd lose that game seven. And tonight is their best chance to advance to the conference finals for the first time since 2000. So, listen, this game is momentous. It's a humongous game. If they lose this game, this is one of those games where you look back and say, we really regret that. You could regret this loss for the rest of your lives as you're some of these players. So it's that big of a game. They would have a chance in game seven, but not a good one. Tonight is their biggest chance at reaching the conference finals.
All right, take us through some of your X and O's on how the Knicks can get this done. If you watch TV, you see all the basketball personalities and pundits out there saying the Knicks need to do a better job defending the pick and roll. What's your keys to victory for this squad?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've done a decent job defending for the whole series. The 3-point line, I think they've allowed it to kind of just get away from them at times. Derek White has been a huge problem. I think they need to stick with him a lot more. Jaylen Brown, you saw him decide, all right, I know Jason Tatum's not here. I need to take this upon myself and take it to the next level. So in a lot of ways, the problem with the Boston Celtics and defending the Boston Celtics is it's a make or miss league. If they're hot and they're hitting everything, it's almost like you throw your hands up and say, what can you do? So defensively, I don't see much wrong with the game plan. I think they've done a good job. Offensively, they need to do a better job getting karl-anthony Towns involved. Here's a guy who he joined the team. He's the highest paid player on the team. He was considered the best shooting big man of all times in terms of 7-footers, and he has two total 3-pointers in this entire series. That's not something that you want if you're the Knicks. You want to utilize his strengths. You want to get him going. And part of that is the game plan. Jalen Brunson needs to get his guys going. I think he has the ball in his hands. He's got to be more of a facilitator at times, but a lot of that is also on Cat. If you have to be aggressive. I know Drew Holiday, they put him on him last game. I'm sure they'll put him on him again. I know he's a handful on the perimeter, but you have to find ways to get going. And if you're driving to the hoop and you see Luke Cornett under there, take it up strong instead of trying to bait for a foul and falling on the ground. So a lot of that is on Cat. Some of it is on the game plan. But I think that getting Cat going is something that can really help this team out a lot because you have an all-star talent who, out of everybody in the starting lineup, I think he's had the most underwhelming series.
Getting Cat going and the fact that OG Anobi and Mikal Bridges combined from 5 for 26 from the field up in Boston in game 5. How big is it for these two to get going because they are the spark to this team when they do make a run?
Yeah, and I think with OG in particular, um, he needs to be more aggressive. I think it's tough for him because he doesn't get plays called for him. And if they're not running a lot in transition, he's not getting a lot of opportunities. And I do notice he kind of gets lost and he stops being aggressive when he doesn't have the ball in his hands sometimes and he's just standing in a corner. And that's got to be frustrating for him. Here's a guy who showed when Jalen Brunson was out towards the end of the regular season that he can do a lot of things offensively when he has the ball. So, try to maybe incorporate him a little bit more into the offense. The problem is Jalen Brunson is the best player, so you want the ball in his hands. The key for OG and Anobi in particular is to get out and run, get those transition buckets, and then find him, in transition when he's at the perimeter at the 3-point line for those open 3-pointers, and then he's got to bury him. So, if I'm looking at OG Anunoby, here was a guy who had a huge game one in Boston, was the best player, I think, in the series in Detroit, the Detroit series, and a key to this team. And he had a terrible game 5.
I feel like the script is set for a Spike Lee movie when we talked about the Knicks having the chance to close out this series with a rival like the Boston Celtics at home at the Garden. Are we set for a Jalen Brunson Captain Clutch type moment tonight?
I mean, that's always been the recipe for Knicks' success is against Boston. Because listen, they're in this series. They've been outplayed for the. If you take this series as a whole, their net rating for the series is -8. Um, just statistically, there's no way they should be up 3-2, and there was no way they should have been up 3-1. But the key, and I've been saying this for months, the recipe for the Knicks to beating a team that's more talented like the Boston Celtics is to keep it close and allow Captain Clutch to do his thing when it really matters because they're disadvantaged in almost every facet of the game in this series, even with Jason Tatum not available. But where they do have the big advantage is in the fourth quarter and in winning time if the game is close because of the point guard, because of their resiliency, because of how mentally tough they've shown themselves to be. And frankly, give Tom Thibodeau credit. Everybody on this team is healthy, and you're kind of seeing the benefit of playing them so many minutes during the regular season because they look like they have more energy than every other team in the fourth quarter. So I think they're built for the fourth quarter. I think Jalen Brunson is obviously mentally strong and able to carry his team in the fourth quarter, and that's a recipe for success for the Knicks. The key is keeping it close because they can, as they've shown in the 2 losses, they can just get blown out. I mean, if Boston starts hitting every three-pointer, then they're in trouble. So keep it close and then give the ball to Captain Clutch.
It's going to be a movie tonight at the Garden. Steph Bondy, thanks for hopping on with us.
Thanks, man.